and I apologize to anyone who is normally on YouTube, and it started late. We had an issue with the YouTube stream, so I'm just going through my phone for that, and it's going to be in portrait instead of landscape, and I know nobody cares about our tech difficulties, but I just do everything I can to make sure we're always on the air. Okay. Should be working now. Hopefully people will find the YouTube. We're looking for the YouTube, but Facebook is good. So let's light up the darkness. Okay. Who's in the house? Sharon in New Jersey, Joe in the Inland Empire, Guy in Ohio, Bella in Florida, Shandora in the Bronx, Lucy in Minnesota, Lorraine in Texas, Paula in the Great Northwest, Sharon checking with Bella in Florida. Are you safe and okay? Yes, all our friends who are in Florida, please God, may everybody be safe and spared from troubles from this terrible storm that I guess has hit Florida already, has started. Please God, may everybody be safe. Steven says, Shalom from JFK in New York City. On my way back to New Hampshire, visited the Rebbe's Ohel in Queens. Long day. It's a wonderful visit. Recommend it to everybody. If you're ever flying in or out of JFK, you're about 10 minutes away from the grave, the final resting place of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. It's called the Ohel, which really means tent, but it's like his resting place. And it's a very powerful experience. When you go by the Ohel, you can, write down your prayers, toss them in. You're praying to God. We don't ever pray to people, even departed souls. But it's like your prayers are strengthened there, and you can ask the Rebbe to pray on your behalf. And so often when you leave the area of the grave and you come back inside that kind of visitor center, there's always videos there playing of the Rebbe sort of giving advice to people who came to him. And it's just so often like the thing that you have a question about, that you're praying for, they have a dilemma in your life, and then you come and see whatever he's talking about in that video, it's like he's talking to you. Just an amazing experience. Melissa in Great Neck, Mickey in Vineland. Tom says, hi Sal, go Giants. Amen. But it was a rocky start this year. Bill in mid-Missouri, Frank in San Pedro. And over there, okay, YouTube is working. Chaim in Florida, Ifa. Oh my God, the hurricane is passing over us right now. So far, so good. Oh, please God, Ifa, may you be safe. Chaim, may you be safe. Everybody in Florida, may you be safe. Ella there also, and Frank is over on YouTube as well. Okay, welcome everybody. I'm being a little, slow with the greetings today because our daf is so short. Normally we would probably do a double on a day like this, but that didn't work out for me today. So here we go. Our daf is page 97. And today, with God's help, we'll complete our discussion of Mishnah number 2 here in chapter 6. We got a good start on page 97 yesterday, so we're right near the bottom of page 97a. Rav Zutra Bartovia says that Rav says, one may recite the sanctification of the Shabbos day, meaning the kiddush over the wine, only over wine of a quality that is fit to be poured as a libation upon the altar. In other words, what you're going to say kiddush over when you make the kiddush, right? The sort of separating Shabbos from what came before. One of the things that we do, of course, is women light candles, but then by the Shabbos dinner and also by the Shabbos lunch, we'll say kiddush. And that's sanctifying the day, and we do that over a glass of wine. And here we're learning, okay, so that wine, for it to be fit for saying kiddush on Shabbos, it means that wine was also fit to be poured as a wine libation on the altar when the temple was standing in Jerusalem and certain offerings were accompanied by wine libations. So this wine had to be fit for that in order to be fit for kiddush. The Gemara asks, okay, so this statement, why is it said? It is said to exclude what? If we say it is to exclude the use of wine fresh from one's press, i.e. grape juice, which has not yet fermented, well, that is difficult. But didn't Rabbi Chia teach one may not bring wine fresh from his press as a libation ab initio, but if one brought it as a libation, it is valid after the fact. In other words, it's questionable that this is wine, right? Wine fresh from the wine press hasn't fermented yet, so it's really just grape juice. And so we would say that grape juice, no, you don't bring grape juice as a libation. You can make kiddush, by the way, over grape juice on Shabbos, but when wine was being brought as a libation accompanying a sacrifice on the altar, it needed to be wine. And wine in that context means wine that has an alcohol content, and this wine fresh from the press does not. So you shouldn't bring it as a libation. But if you did, your offering is not disqualified, right? This is the difference between ab initio and after the fact. There are many things that we would say, don't do it that way. Ab initio, it's incorrect. You should find a more correct way to fulfill that obligation, to fulfill that mitzvah. But if you did it in this less than optimal way, you have satisfied your obligation, your yotze, you have fulfilled what you were obligated to do. But ab initio, you shouldn't have done it that way, right? So here with wine that's fresh from the press, ab initio, you shouldn't bring it as a libation, but after the fact, you did fulfill your obligation. And since if one brought it as a libation, it is valid after the fact, we should also be able to use it for the sanctification of the Shabbos day, even ab initio. Now we're on 97b. As Rava says, a person may squeeze the juice from a cluster of grapes and then recite the kiddush of Shabbos over it. So rather, Rav's statement when he said that something that wine that we can make kiddush over is wine that should be fit to bring as a libation. So it just seems like it's not about this issue of does it have an alcohol content or not, fresh from the press or not, because you can make kiddush over grape juice. So maybe it's something else that's excluded by that statement. So rather, Rav's statement is to exclude wine that is taken from the mouth of the barrel, which has scum floating on it, like some kind of a film over it, and wine taken from the bottom of the barrel, which contains the pomace, right? So from the very top or from the very bottom of the barrel, this is very, not good wine, right? Either the film on the top or the pomace at the bottom. We would only want to take the best of our wine, whether for kiddush or to pour on the altar. And so when you've got the pomace mixed in or that scummy, film on the top, that seems like it should not be brought as a libation and therefore would not be fit for kiddush. So let's keep reading. And the Gemara challenges this, but didn't Rabbi Chia teach one may not bring wine that is taken from the mouth of the barrel or from the bottom of the barrel as a libation ab initio, but if one brought it as a libation, it is nonetheless valid after the fact. So accordingly, it should be fit for use for the kiddush on Shabbos as well. So rather, Rav's statement, it comes to exclude black wine, borek wine, sweet wine, wine from the cellar, and wine made from raisins. These are too dissimilar from proper wine to be used either as a libation or for kiddush on Shabbos. Right? Well, let's see. So the Gemara challenges this, but isn't it taught in a baraisa with regard to all these types of wine? One may not bring them as a libation ab initio, but if one brought one of them as a libation, it is valid after the fact, and accordingly, it would also be fit for use in the Shabbos Kiddush. So rather, let's try something else. Rav's statement serves to exclude souring wine, diluted wine, wine that has been left uncovered, as there is a concern that wine that has been left uncovered for a long period of time, a snake may have injected its venom into it. And wine made from grape pomace, like we were talking about yesterday, the dregs after wine has been made, you could sort of squeeze a little bit more juice out of it and mix it with water, and it makes some kind of a drink, but it's questionable whether that's wine or not. And wine that has a foul odor. As it is taught in a Baraisa with regard to all these types of wine, one may not bring them as a libation, and if one brought one of them as a libation, it is disqualified. Even after the fact, no good. So this is going too far. These kinds of wines are not wine, neither for libation nor for kiddush on Shabbos. Souring wine, diluted wine, wine that has been left uncovered that may have received snake venom, and wine made from grape pomace, and wine that has a foul odor. So the Gemara asks again, Rav's statement serves to exclude which of these types of wine? If one suggests that Rav intended to exclude souring wine, well, that cannot be, as the status of wine that tastes like wine but has the odor of vinegar is the subject of a dispute between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi that we encounter on page 96. If one suggests that Rav's statement serves to exclude diluted wine, why should such wine be disqualified for the kiddush on Shabbos? Diluting wine is an improvement of it. As Rabbi Yosef, the son of Rabbi Hanina, says, even though the rabbis disagree with Rabbi Eliezer and hold that over undiluted wine one recites the blessing, Borei Priya Geffen, nevertheless, the rabbis concede to Rabbi Eliezer with regard to a cup used for a blessing, such as the cup of wine over which the grace after meals is recited, that one does not recite the blessing over it until he adds water to it to make it palatable. Right? The way wine used to come in ancient times, it was so strong that you would never drink it straight. You would always dilute it, usually so it ends up being 3 parts water, 1 part wine, and that's proper wine. So why would you say that there's a problem with diluted wine? Diluted wine is optimal. And if one suggests that Rav's statement serves to exclude wine that has been left uncovered, we see this in many places in the Talmud, that if you leave a water glass uncovered overnight, and now we're hearing about wine as well, you should not drink it, and this is considered dangerous. Sounds like a very unusual circumstance that a snake would come up to this bowl or glass of water or wine, and I guess somehow, stick its face into it and deposit some venom. I don't know, maybe there were some kinds of snakes in the Holy Land that would exhibit this sort of behavior. But at any rate, we don't drink water that has been left uncovered, unattended for an extended amount of time. So if one suggests that Rav's statement serves to exclude wine that has been left uncovered, it would be unnecessary for Rav to teach this, because such wine, which is dangerous to drink, as a snake may have injected its venom into it, is already forbidden. Not only disqualified, but prohibited. If one suggests that Rav's statement serves to exclude wine made from pomace, so then what are the circumstances? If it is referring to a case where one poured 3 jugs of water over the pomace, and the volume of the resulting beverage came to 4 jugs, as we discussed yesterday, that is considered full-fledged wine, which may certainly be used for the sanctification of the Shabbos day, meaning the kiddush on Shabbos. If it is referring to where one poured 3 jugs of water over the pomace and the resulting beverage came to 3.5 jugs, this is the subject of a dispute between the rabbis and a cherem, and the law is in accordance to the opinion of the rabbis, who rule that this is not regarded as wine. So we already know that you can't use that. So rather, Rav's statement serves to exclude wine that has a foul odor. And if you wish, say that actually his statement serves to exclude wine that has been left uncovered, and it teaches the novelty that even though one passes it through a sieve, in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Nehemiah, we see that in Tractate Terumos 8:7, nevertheless, it still may not be used for the sanctification of the Shabbos day, and this is because it is disrespectful to use inferior wine for a mitzvah, as derived from the verse in which God rebukes the Jewish people for offering lame animals as offerings. And that's from Malachi 1:8. Present it now unto your governor. Will he be pleased with you, or will he accept your person, says the Lord of hosts? So if an offering, you would be ashamed to give it to an earthly king, how much more should you be embarrassed to bring that to the King of Kings? And of course, you should not bring such inferior quality substances as an offering. Rav Kahana, the father-in-law of Rav Misharshia, asked Rava, with regard to using white wine for libations and for the kiddush on Shabbos, what is the law? And he said to him in response that the verse states, do not look upon the wine when it is red, when it gives its color in the cup, when it glides down smoothly, from Proverbs 23:31. And this indicates that red wine is considered to be of a superior quality. Yes, red wine is of a superior quality, but as far as I know, you can make kiddush, you can make the kiddush on Shabbos with white wine. I hope that's true, because we've often done it. And I'm very close to done, so questions or comments, please get them in now. White wine. Let's read this note before I finish this. The early commentaries discuss the intent of this question. According to the Rashbam, the question is only about using white wine as a libation on the altar when the temple is standing. If so, Rav Kahana was not aware of the Baraisa cited earlier that spoke about white wine. Alternatively, according to the versions of the text that have bodek wine, that Baraisa is not referring to white wine and is irrelevant to the question. Here, what is it? White wine, just the law on white wine. One may use white wine to recite the kiddush on Shabbos. There's the law. The Rambam disagrees, holding that white wine is unfit even after the fact. The Shulchan Aruch reports that the custom is to follow the first opinion. According to all opinions, white wine is fit for Havdalah. So as you see, there are some stringent opinions that would not use white wine for the kiddush. You might say that red wine is preferable, but the law is, according to Shulchan Aruch, that you can use white wine for kiddush on Shabbos. And finally, our Mishnah number 2 taught, when purchasing jugs of wine in the Sharon region, he accepts upon himself that up to 10 inferior quality jugs may be present in each 100 jugs purchased. And it was taught in a Baraisa, the buyer must accept 10 inferior quality jugs in 100 only when even those 10 inferior quality jugs are beautiful and sealed with pitch to strengthen them. So there's the law. And that completes our discussion of Mishna number 2 here in chapter 6. And with God's help, we'll be together again tomorrow, Friday at the regular Friday time, noon Pacific. And I hope that the streaming software is back to normal and the people on YouTube will get a normal feed. Okay, so just a couple of questions. Bill, maybe the snake that injects the venom into water left unattended is less a physical snake and more a gloss for disease in general. After all, unattended water can certainly, especially in the ancient world, become a conveyance for disease very easily. Germ theory was millennia away, thousands of years away, but the consequences of drinking stagnant or stale water is clearly discernible. Great note. So maybe they never saw this snake inject its venom, but they did see people get sick from drinking unattended water, and they said, well, we don't know exactly what happened, but that's something that we avoid. Good note. Yes, and then Nina wrote exactly the same note that I just gave regarding white wine for kiddush. You can make kiddush on it, but it's preferable to use red. Okay, that's what I've got for us today. Wishing you all the best, my holy sisters and brothers, and look forward, God willing, to see you again tomorrow, Friday at noon Pacific. Have a great night. Regular feed, and now shut off the YouTube feed. How do I stop it? End stream.